let's get rolling. This is Kevin Tate from Rigado. Thanks again for joining. And excited today to talk about ROI for IoT in hospitality. In particular, we are excited today to have special guest, Radius Networks. Jeff Baskin and Radius Networks are a close partner of Rigado's. We've gotten to work on a lot of solutions together in hospitality and the restaurant space. So if you've seen Rigado webinars before, we like to dive into the technology and where it's being applied to the business. And in this case, we'll cover a little bit of the technology side up front, talk about how Rigado's edge infrastructure applies specifically for connected hospitality applications, but then turn it over to Radius. And Jeff is going to share how they create solutions for restaurants and events and in commercial spaces, and a little bit about how Rigado's infrastructure supports that. And then at the end, we'll come together, talk a little bit about the benefits of an integrated solution, and have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So thanks again for joining, and as always, feel free to write in with questions using the chat feature of WebEx, and we'll take a look at those at the end and have plenty of time for Q&A. And with that, let's get going. So a little bit about Rigado. If you're not familiar with Rigado's solutions, we focus on helping businesses deploy and manage IoT solutions at very large scale. So typically thousands of commercial locations, often in verticals or segments like smart logistics, connected hospitality, smart office, and healthcare. And our goal is to provide the connectivity, the edge computing, and the security that allows companies to confidently deploy in commercial environments at scale. And typically, the types of companies that we're working with are IoT solution providers and IoT systems integrators. And a lot of times, their focus is on the data and the business value and the transformational capabilities of their solution. And they are excited to partner with Rigado as a way to save time, reduce risk, and lower the cost of operation around the infrastructure to support those applications. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. First, to define some terms, I mentioned commercial IoT, and that really is our focus here at Rigado. And part of what defines that focus for us is the fact that commercial IoT is different. It's a distinct set of opportunities and challenges for IoT solutions. And when we say different, I mean different from consumer IoT, where you can often rely on a smartphone to be that bridge or application platform for your devices, or increasingly in the smart home, you can rely on something like an Alexa or even Apple TV as your hub. And then it's also quite different from industrial IoT, where you tend to see sort of server class connected IoT hubs, a lot of hardwired interfaces to complement the wireless, and frankly, the economics allow for $1,000, $2,000 gateways in these industrial environments. Commercial IoT has a unique set of not only economics, things need to be cost-effective enough to go into thousands of locations, be installed and managed in a cost-effective way, but you also have a pretty unique set of wireless and edge computing requirements. And so a lot of that shapes the way that we build and deploy our infrastructure for commercial IoT. When we look at commercial IoT applications, typically the types of things that Rigado is focused on enabling: connected lighting, asset tracking, sensing and monitoring, and, as we'll talk about in more detail today, guest experiences. And those types of applications are often going into these types of verticals. And usually these are commercial spaces. So we're thinking about things like dining rooms and boardrooms and hospital rooms and classrooms, factory warehouses, places where you need to make the environment smart so that you can deploy smart applications into that environment. And ultimately what that creates is a fairly repeatable set of needs for the edge. So in these commercial environments, wireless connectivity needs to be flexible, so things like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and the various 802.15.4 protocols. You need edge computing, typically to collect data and control local devices, maybe handle data from different formats and inputs before you push it to the cloud. And then secure management. And that means both the ability to update applications in the field and also, importantly, apply security patches as new exploits or risks evolve while things are in the field. I'll talk a little bit about that. So ultimately, that's the backdrop for what we go to market with as Rigado Cascade. Cascade is our term for secure and scalable gateways to power these commercial IoT solutions. And it's a combination of the physical gateway itself, along with a management platform that allows for the performance monitoring and updating and security patching of the gateways. So this is our edge as a service offering. Companies use this on a subscription basis to power their commercial IoT infrastructure. It's worth noting that this view of connectivity and computing for commercial IoT expands the role that a gateway plays a bit. So it's easy to look at a gateway early on as maybe just a data bridge or maybe just a connectivity bridge between, say, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi for backhaul. But really a lot more than that is going on in these commercial gateways. From the top down, being able to integrate with multiple cloud services using MQTT or using HTTP, being able to get to those cloud services through Ethernet or even LTE backhaul is very important to allow the cloud to reach down, if you will, into these smart spaces. The ability to run multiple edge applications. So in a lot of ways, these gateways are almost like phones or tablets living in the ceiling, where you have a secure operating system that can run applications in containers, and those can manage data individually and not create any security risk as they do. And then, of course, the ability to connect to a wide range of devices. And so in our case, a lot of our work is with Bluetooth and Bluetooth 5, but also Wi-Fi, mesh protocols, and Zigbee and Thread. Ultimately, the ability to make the device connectivity as seamless as possible and providing APIs that allow people to hit Bluetooth devices in the same way they would a RESTful API or a web data source gives a lot of flexibility to developers. And then finally, the management side. And a lot of that comes down to the scalability and security that makes it possible to deploy to thousands of locations. And that's a lot of times where the economics get challenging for these large-scale commercial IoT deployments. It's one thing to push a pilot out to a single site or even 100 sites, but to get to thousands or tens of thousands of sites requires a turnkey system at all points of the solution. So installation, deployment, management, updating, and that becomes a big part of what we partner with companies to provide. Ultimately, we believe that this infrastructure for commercial IoT is not only secure and scalable, but it should also be shared. And what we mean by that is, as we look at these types of commercial environments, a lot of times today, gateways are being pulled in with a single application. So maybe there's maintenance monitoring sensors. I mean, let's get a gateway to help those connect. And we want to do something with the guest experience. Let's get another gateway to help those connect. And then employee badging and so on. And what it's leading to is a sort of siloed infrastructure in which there's literally a gateway for every application, which is not only expensive, but it's not really sustainable from IT and operations management perspective. So instead, we see a shared infrastructure for commercial IoT applications in which multiple edge apps can run on a single gateway or a single network of gateways, connecting to all those different end devices and their associated cloud counterparts. And ultimately, that's the recipe we believe is going to provide a shared infrastructure for these commercial IoT environments. And a word about security. this is perhaps the biggest stumbling block for companies who are looking to roll out a cost-effective solution at scale. Ultimately, we believe security needs to start at the point of manufacture with edge gateways, and then it needs to extend to the ability to monitor and update. Having a secure, containerized, encrypted operating system is important at the edge, and keep those devices hardened and secure on the network. And then ultimately, the ability to deliver patches along the way as things like a new Bluetooth stack exploit or a security issue with the Wi-Fi protocol come along. You've got to be able to push those updates and keep those devices secure in the field. And that's, of course, all a part of our Cascade Edge as a Service offering. So ultimately, those are the types of things that we provide to partners like Radius, and we try to be their deployment partner, things around flexibility and connectivity, the edge computing and security, and keeping that management simple. And if we do a good job at that, then we're able to help them get to market faster and reduce that risk and ultimately the overall cost of infrastructure. So that's kind of our view of these types of solutions and how we look to enable partners. But let me put a finer point on that by introducing Jeff Baskin, our partner from Radius Networks. And Jeff's going to talk a bit about how Radius brings solutions to commercial IoT environments.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate the introduction. Can you hear me all okay?
I can. Sounds good.
Okay. Great. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And just wanted to, I know a lot of you know a lot about Rigado, but not sure how many of you know about Radius Networks. So wanted to give a very quick overview of kind of what we do and what our goals and strategies are. We've been around for about 6-7 years now, and really started off in the Bluetooth space. And I will say, not myself, but our founders were really pioneers in this space and really helped. Once iBeacon came out, built something called AltBeacon, which that protocol, and really helped Google with their Eddystone protocol. So that AltBeacon was made it compatible, so it could speak to both OSs, and we were kind of pioneers in that space. Now operating in 60+ countries, have patents around a lot of Bluetooth technology, including our customer location platform, which is our core solution that we're really narrowly focused on right now. And that customer location platform has a lot of different use cases. And the channels that we really focus on are QSRs, fast casual and restaurants, certain hospitality like hotels and resorts. Casinos obviously has been a big space for us in the last year or so. And then moving forward, grocery has been a very large space, and retail. The big box retailers as well have been big space for us through our customer location platform. You could go to the next.
There we go.
Yeah, great, thanks. And so talking about some of the folks that we work with, you can see it's a pretty diverse group of partners, everyone from very large QSRs like McDonald's to working with the Golden State Warriors inside their stadium to CVS and Disney. And we have a lot of different solutions with each of these. One of the ones we'll cover today in more specificity is our relationship with some of the QSRs like McDonald's and White Castle and Panera and Chick-fil-A, which is our customer location platform. We also work very closely with folks like Disney throughout their theme parks and building very customized solutions for them so that they can do stuff like wait times in line and a lot of different IoT solutions that utilize Bluetooth technology throughout their parks, and they're a very good partner for us. And we also work with a lot of the other strategic partners, but you can go back. Sorry, that's fine. You're fine. You're good. So I mentioned our customer location platform, and that is really a lot of that is built around the Rigado gateways, and they've been a great partner for us in helping us to scale this side of the business. I won't cover all of these bubbles down below, but I will talk about the first 4 or so. Table service being our where we are with a company like McDonald's as a part of their Experience of the Future category. If you've read anything about that, that is their where they are putting in mobile kiosks and utilizing table service in a majority of their restaurants. And we're currently in about, I think about 11,000 of the 37,000 worldwide McDonald's today, and expanding through other QSRs, like I mentioned, as well. Based upon the success of that customer location platform inside of these QSRs and other locations, that has now expanded into curbside. So being able to do micro location inside of a building, now being able to do that outside of a building for QSRs, fast casual restaurants, groceries, and really any other location that needs to have a micro location outside of their building. And really that's still being used mainly today for that mobile ordering and location. Proximity cloud is kind of our basic proximity networks that we use in a lot of the stadiums that we've talked about, where, for instance, the new LAFC stadium, if you're in LA, it's an unbelievable stadium. I think they put several millions of dollars into that, and it's probably the most tech-savvy stadium I've ever been in. So they use us for our customer location platform with utilizing table service, utilizing smart locators or smart tents, as well as mobile devices in their restaurants, but then also using it as a proximity network to send notifications to their fans when they're in a certain specific location. And then the last one I'll talk about really is the staff and asset tracking. In a lot of these large environments like casinos and large big box retailers, they are looking to find things that are going missing. We have a very large deal with Walmart where they are using our program. Where they are looking to find stuff that has been shipped to them, and people are trying to work within the warehouse of the store and trying to find those assets. And so we're utilizing our platform for that as well as to find out in large casinos, hey, we need to find out who is the closest and most efficient person to go help someone at the pool. And we can locate that person and make sure that we can send that person to make it a really efficient process. But you can go ahead, Kevin. So as we go forward, we'll talk about kind of the table service solution that utilizes, that we're, again, currently in with McDonald's and several other QSRs. But their typical model there is they're going to order through a mobile kiosk. They can order at the counter. When they order through, you can see the little 49 on that table tent. There's Bluetooth technology in there that is then talking to the Rigado gateways, of which we've put our own special kind of sauce and firmware on. And then it's talking back to our system, and then it's finding the exact location of that customer within the restaurant. So I'm ordering via kiosk or the counter or my mobile device. So the system that we've put in using these hubs can see the mobile device, and it can also see the smart table locator and differentiate between the two, so that when you go to either mobile ordering and it gives you choice to then go to the counter, I can find you at that table. And that has been a huge success, and we'll talk about some of the stats later on. It's been a huge success for our QSR and fast casual partners in decreasing cost on the amount of technology that we're putting into these places, and as well as level of accuracy and customer satisfaction. And just going a little bit behind the scenes, and I'm not going to get too technical because mainly because that's not what I do. But you can see here that we would do a typical installation in a restaurant scenario like this, where we would take the hubs. They would have antennas that come out from those hubs. You can see that diagram in the bottom right corner. It spans out, and then what we do is what we call a fingerprinting process, where we can create these virtual zones or down to about a 3 foot by 3 foot area, and then that is reported back through our software, through the system, shown on a monitor in the back of the house. It can also be shown on a tablet or something in the front of the house if need be, but it'll show you the exact location of that customer, of that tent, and then where they're sitting on the within the floor plan. So giving you that level of accuracy, but that's kind of how we do the installation.
And Jeff, is that fingerprinting process you mentioned, is that what lets this work kind of regardless of what the actual floor plan is? It seems there's some flexibility there.
Yeah, there is. So that gives us a lot of flexibility of we're essentially creating these really tight zones based around where the tables are.
Hmm.
But if those tables move, that's something that we can manage remotely, um, because we can do everything. We can see each of our restaurants or each of our locations remotely and do maintenance on it, and or do changes via fingerprinting.
Ah, very cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And then again, because of the success of that, of what we've done inside, and because we've done this in 50 countries at this point, and have gone through that process, and have learned some hard lessons, and have perfected that at this point, we've really focused on how do we take a lot of our partners and how do we kind of add on services. And the big thing for both QSRs, for grocery, is how do I do really convenient and automated curbside service and curbside pickup. So being able to order on my mobile device, being able to have that customer drive to the restaurant and not have them wait. So the idea there is, how can I decrease the wait time for that restaurant or grocery store and get that wait time down, but also make that a really automated experience through the mobile app. So what we're doing there is, if you go to the next slide, I think, Kevin, I think we show that. Yep. So the idea there is, if typically, and a lot of the partners that we meet with in grocery at least are saying, hey, it's taking us somewhere between 5 and 30 minutes to deliver an order once someone's gotten on site. And we have no data around that because we don't know when they arrived. So with our platform, what we're doing is we're able to create some zones, if you will. And we're able to tell them, hey, you know what? Rebecca is 5 blocks away from coming to get her groceries. We need to start gathering her things from the freezer and gathering her things from the dry goods section. Put those together. And then they're going to get another alert that says, hey, now Rebecca's actually on premise. And the third alert, which in this one is number 2, is now Rebecca's actually in the pickup zone. So in an ideal world, and we're not quite there yet, but I think we're getting there close, is have someone actually waiting for her when she gets to that zone, or be out within 30 seconds. And right now that time is much, much more than that. So with our platform, these, again, QSRs, fast casual grocers, retailers are able to really cut that time down a lot because they're getting these alerts. But the other big thing that you'll notice here is we've done the same exact thing that we've done inside, but outside in the parking lot. So we can take that entire parking lot and get this down. Right now, we're down to about 2 or 3 parking spots. Mm. If the retailer wants to, they can increase the size of their curbside pickup area, which is typically right now 2 to 3 spaces. If I'm the 4th person in, I'm kind of out of luck, and now I'm waiting for them to come out. So what they want to do is they want to expand that curbside area into the entire parking lot, be able to see exactly where that person is parked so they can deliver the food. And so we've taken that same exact concept of what we've done inside, but brought it outside to the parking lot.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I saw a report, I think it was last week, that the not only customer pickup, but the food delivery services, Uber Eats and Amazon have become a huge source of growth for grocery and for quick serve. This seems well timed.
Yeah, no, it is a growing business. I think online, I know I just read this, so online orders in the grocery space last year were about 6%, and they're expected to grow 6 to 10x for that by next year.
Wow.
With delivery through companies like Instacart and Shipt and Uber Eats and places like that. So the delivery is a huge area, but also the curbside pickup is the second piece of that. And even in the delivery, the problem is the Uber Eats guy shows up and no one knows he's there, and then he's got to get someone's attention and say, hey, I'm here, and then the fries get cold, and we get a problem. So we're alerting the staff that the delivery person has also showed up in order to help in that space as well.
Great.
Yeah. And there's that, and we talked about the kind of the asset and staff tracking. So we want to be able to, in a warehouse environment or in a large retailer environment, really be able to track that asset. When it's been delivered, so when it's reached the store, and then where is its last known location within the store so that we can go find that. So I'll give you one example of one of the retailers that we work with. They have parts shipped to their store, and they lose them 40% of the time. That's 40%.
Wow.
And their staff is told to spend no more than 2 hours looking at that. So you can imagine the time savings and cost savings that they get if they can find that within 15 minutes or even 25 or 30 minutes. So that has been a big program for us, being able to do that in kind of that big box retail environment. The other piece of that is employees, and that's been really around in our casinos. We're doing some really cool stuff where we're actually we're in the process of launching a large casino in the state of Maryland, which is one of the largest casinos in the country, where we'll be taking and using the Rigado hubs with our firmware and everything on it, and using our customer location platform throughout the entire 160,000 square foot casino. And they'll be doing mobile order and delivery of food and drinks to slot machines, to poker tables, to sports books, and things like that in that casino, but also be able to use that same system to track where the waitress is bringing the drink, but also staff that might be taking too long of a smoke break, or they just want to be efficient and route that person to the correct spot. So all this can be then managed by the staff and management of that casino. So we're doing that in a lot of those larger venues that we've got our technology in. And then being able to track traffic patterns and things like that of the staff to make sure we're being efficient, make sure bathrooms are being cleaned when they're on schedule. Right now, we're trying to get rid of the old clipboard and have someone sign their initials. We can actually track that and track the exact time that they went in there and did that.
Mm-hmm. And is that typically Bluetooth beacons on employee badges? Is that what's?
Yeah. So what we've tried to do is use the customer location platform for virtually everything at this point, because what we found is that just the standard Bluetooth beacon is not as flexible and not as reliable as what we're seeing from a micro level coming from those the hubs that you guys are helping us build that are in the ceiling, that are then able to see a mobile device, but also be able to see a beacon if we choose to use that. So in a lot of the employee cases, it depends on the partner, but a lot of them are carrying mobile devices around. So we're looking for the mobile device, but then we're also looking for a beacon if they want to wear something, or it's a card or something like that. But one of the biggest advantages to our platform, and I'll mention this and then we can go on to some of the results, but is the fact that the hubs that we have in place for the customer location platform are both broadcasting and scanning, meaning that so if I'm in a casino environment, I can not only place a mobile order for food and beverage delivery, but I can and find that person. But if that same person using the same mobile application is in front of the new sports book, I can do a push notification to that as if it was just a standard beacon protocol. So I can, by using it for scanning and broadcasting, I really don't need to use any physical beacons anywhere. It's a mobile first solution, which is really where everyone's going. So we can use those hubs for everything.
Yeah, huge advantage of Bluetooth being in every phone.
Yep.
Very good. Well, and before we get to some of the integrated solution benefits, I wanted to remind participants, if you have any questions, you can use a chat message to the host, and we can connect questions there. And then to provide a little bit of a backdrop to these three different use cases that Jeff talked about, ultimately the goal in providing an integrated solution is to create that shared infrastructure so that the same gateways, the same management tools, the same protocols, the same points of integration can be used for all those different use cases. So from a kind of take X-ray vision to the use cases that Jeff just talked about, this is the way that gateways and their associated sensors or beacons or integration with mobile devices power those types of experiences. and being able to do that with a single infrastructure, but running multiple applications on the gateways to power those experiences is part of what we see as the real opportunity with this type of integrated hospitality solution. And then ultimately getting that data up to the cloud for analysis or control. That's typically done through Wi-Fi or PoE or cellular. So that's the where we meet in the ceiling, if you will.
Exactly.
And then Jeff, I think you had some
I think we can share some stats with you guys as far as the what this has done for some of our partners, as far as really for our table service product. So we've got a significantly improved guest experience, and a lot of our partners, we'll call it the mosh pit. So if you go to McDonald's or you go to a Starbucks or something, and you're waiting for your mobile order, your coffee or whatever it may be, you've got 20 people waiting in the order, and it's just not a comfortable experience. So being able to just go order, sit down, have that service model available has really helped. And I think we can see that it's decreased by 50%. We're kind of going out of order, but it has a decrease in issues, complaints, and wrong orders. And then we've got an increase in customer satisfaction by increased by 20% from the solution that we've put into place. Not only that, but it's also increased order throughput and has helped increase same-store sales by about 3%, and also helped increase the average check size by about 15%. Now the 15% is due to a few different factors. One being our solution, the other being just the fact that you can do mobile ordering. I don't have someone in back of me pushing me to hurry up my order. I can see all of the menu choices, and then I can place my order comfortably. So that with the combination of those solutions, they've seen about a 15% increase in check size, and then about a 4% increase in overall guest count. So really, really good statistics from the overall solution, of which we're a really big part of, along with Rigado. So it's great that the solution that we've built and that we've been working on for years is getting really good positive results for both the partners that we work with, as well as the customers. So everyone seems to be happy, and it's going very well.
Yeah, looking at these numbers, I mean, there's a lot to like here. I guess what do businesses seem to care about most? Which of these would you say is the common ROI factor, or does it depend?
Well, I think it depends probably which division of the company you're talking to. But obviously we're all here to make money, so the ROI portion is usually pretty big. So the increase in same-store sales and increase in check size usually are the first things that people talk about, because I'm able to make more money from the solution that I've put in. And obviously the increase in guest count. And that's where in the QSR space, people are having a lot of problems, right? People have choices. They're losing guests to other technical solutions or other restaurants. There's a lot of competition out there. So if I can actually maintain or increase my guest count a little bit, I'm winning. So here they're getting a pretty nice lift in this. And this is kind of what we've done is we've had people that have implemented this solution to those that don't, and then they've been able to compare the two. But again, from the other thing is when you talk to the marketing side of the house, and they're seeing customer service satisfaction ratings increase and a decrease in complaints, that's what they're really interested in. But at the end of the day, it's an ROI based business, so for everybody. So that's what they're really focused on.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
So a few questions have come in through the chat channel, and we can get to those now. First of all, where do companies tend to start? I'm guessing that means from a use case perspective.
Yeah, it depends. In the fast casual QSR space, they've started inside, and then they've quickly gone outside. So I think they've kind of proven that solution out. And it's a pretty simple solution. I'm able to now take someone who have a food runner, if you will, and have that person deliver food. So it's a pretty simple solution. to put this in. It's a very simple installation. I can then and have that done. So that was proven out in that space. And now they're saying, well, hey, I need to do all these other things inside of my store, inside of my QSR. And one of those, and like you said before, Greg, is delivery and curbside pickup is now huge growth. And also at the drive-through, 65%, I believe, of all orders that happen at most QSRs today is done through the drive-through. So if we can help them mitigate having 12 people back to back in line and give them a notification of when they've arrived on premise to say, hey, you know what, your meal's not quite ready, go park in spot number 5 and we'll be out in a minute, instead of waiting in line and then telling them that they were there. So there's a lot of things that we can do to help not only inside the store, but help with drive-through, help with curbside, help with delivery. And then on top of that, what we found is, and this was all kind of by accident once we got our first solution in there, was they said, hey, you know what happens? A lot of our drive-through headsets tend to disappear. Either employees are stealing them for some reason, or they forget to take them off and they walk out and they never come back. Yeah. So from an asset tracking perspective, that comes into play. So we've really taken this business channel and have been able to utilize all of our different solutions with them and really help them out. And so that way they don't have to have 10 different vendors coming in and doing this. We can kind of be that one vendor for most of it.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question here for Rigado: how many gateways are needed per location? Well, so it depends a little bit on the footprint and the size, but I'd say most of these locations we're in together have 4 or 5 gateways, and we try to if you're familiar with our gateways, we focus a lot on Bluetooth performance and range, and so we can typically cover even a larger format store with 4 or 5. You might need an additional gateway outside if we're going for the curbside option, but that's usually about right. Next question is, what's the role of IT in these deployments? That's an interesting question. Jeff, do you have a perspective on that?
Yeah, I think that's always the scariest thing whenever you bring in anything. And the good news about our solution is that we don't need to. We can do a POS integration, which makes things somewhat easier, but in most cases we don't. So we don't. Our system, our platform, is really completely standalone. We bring in our own server and switch. We need two racks on two rack spaces in the server room. We run some PoE to the hubs and antennas. Other than that, the whole system itself does not need or require Wi-Fi or internet in order to operate. In most cases, we do get an independent internet port so that we can remotely manage and do health checks and do quick fixes if anything goes wrong. We can take a look at that remotely, but it doesn't require it for the system to work. So if the internet completely goes down, your Bluetooth network system is still working. So there's very little IT integration. If we're doing a mobile solution, we have our mobile SDK that we load onto the mobile app. Other than that, there's really not a lot of IT integration.
Got it. Okay, very helpful.
Yep.
More questions here. I'll put these two together. Someone asked, can you tell me about the external BLE gateways, and then what's the average coverage in square feet that's provided by an outside gateway? So I'll talk a little bit about the external gateways, and then maybe Jeff, you can comment on the coverage. So the Rigado gateways come in a variety of enclosures. So the standard enclosure that you see is meant for indoor, and it comes with mounting kits and all that. We also have a version of this enclosure that is weatherproof, and then another that is IP67, and that can support internal or external antennas, including directional antennas, which is often a good move if you're trying to maximize range outdoors. So often these are mounted just under the eave, so they're not in the direct rain, and then they're pointing out at the parking lot. And Jeff, any comments on kind of what kind of range you can expect or how you look at that?
Sorry, and was the question for outside?
Yeah, when you're looking at outside, would you tend to do one per side of the building, or are you putting it in different places?
Yeah, it depends. We have some directional antennas that we've been using that are getting us about up to 150 to 200 meters, and then we can dial it down, and then again to about we're probably looking at right now about 2 to 3 parking spaces, and the guys that we have in the basement tinkering with the stuff all the time are working hard to get that down to about a parking spot.
Got it. Yeah, in terms of accuracy.
Of accuracy, yeah. So those can be dialed in using a very similar process that we would use inside of the store. Again, kind of the same exact technology that we're using, just using some different equipment.
Got it. Someone had a follow-up question around the IP67 enclosure. Probably easiest if I send you a data sheet on that. Feel free to email me at kevin.tate@Rigado, and we'll get that info over. But it is interesting, and Jeff brings up a good point. Part of working together on these integrated solutions is partnering on, okay, for this type of use case, what antennas do we want to use together? How do we want to gather and filter that data? How can we do that in a way that gives us the level of accuracy we need? And if you've done this before, then there's these trade-offs. You can always throw more hardware at it and get more accuracy, but that may or may not be cost effective. So trying to find that balance point for a great guest experience, but at a cost-effective infrastructure price point is an important part of the partnership. Another question here. What is the Bluetooth penetration through different mediums, building floors, walls, etc.? Well, that certainly makes a difference. And a lot of times what we're doing inside of these locations is making sure we're going through walls with metal reinforcement versus wood beams, or making sure we're on the right side of the concrete in terms of orientation. One of the things that makes this particular solution more flexible is, as Jeff talked about, they have a proprietary fingerprinting approach, which allows them to figure out location based on signal strength, taking all those factors into account. And so we don't have to know that beforehand. Radius is able to tune the system based on the actual environment after placement, after the gateways have gone in. So that's the sort of thing that can really help. As Jeff talked about, 100, 200 meters outside, we usually see more like 50 meters inside, but that's really going to depend on how many walls you're going through. So it's certainly something you want to factor into your solution.
Yeah, and I can add a little bit to that. I can tell you that going in, if you've ever been in a casino, you can imagine the type of variables that we're dealing with in order to get the level of accuracy that we want. So we did a lot of testing, and it was really the reason we did this against kind of a traditional beacon partner of theirs who was trying to stick USB beacons in slot machines and trying to get location that way, and trying to get micro location that way, virtually against these hubs being within the ceiling, using our process to do that, and kind of did A/B testing. Because of all of the metal that is in slot machines and the density of those slot machines, plus all of the people that are in and around those slot machines at any given time, the accuracy with a standard beacon is next to impossible. To get the level of accuracy that you need to do in order to do something like deliver a drink to a specific person. With some tinkering, and we didn't just plug it in and have it work, to be honest, but with the hubs and antennas that we put into the ceiling, connected to our platform, we were able to get to that level of accuracy and kind of get rid of some of that noise. Now, some areas of the casino were more difficult than others, so we had to kind of brainstorm a little bit where there was some additional metal. But I guess to answer the question of medium, metal and people are primary factors in losing location accuracy. But that's why we're kind of coming from the ceiling seems to be the best way to do that, and get that level of accuracy and get rid of some of those variables.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, that's it for questions, and we are at 45 past the hour. So, hey, thanks for joining. That was great, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me. This was great.
Yeah, and thanks all for participating. We'll have a recording of this up on the website. And yeah, feel free to contact Jeff or I with any questions. Let me go back to our email addresses here. And we look forward to seeing you at the next Rigado webinar. Thanks all.
Great. Thanks, Kevin.